Copyright disclaimer. Under Title 17 U.S.C. Section 107, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Okay, you guys, this is from more. Hard to read here. I think it says more or less in Blogspot. Well, regardless, I will put the link in the description box. This is a little older article. The Ex-Scientologist, Exposing the Lies, Abuses, and Crimes of the Church of Scientology. Dated Friday, March 8th, 2013. Sexual abuse permitted in Scientology. There have been more than dozens of cases of sexual abuse and sexual abuse of children in Scientology that were never reported to officials, or if they were reported, not until years later. The reason is, in order to keep the dark side of Scientology out of the public eye, Scientologists may not take their legal differences or even criminal complaints outside of the church, but must handle them internally through mediation. Also, there is this. Scientology ethics always assume that if something bad happens to you, that you are responsible for pulling it in on yourself. How about that, LAPD? LAPD. Then there is a policy of 1st of September 1965, entitled Ethics Protection, written by Hubbard. Oh, this should be great. In which he says, when people do start reporting a staff member, including children, with a high statistic, when you investigate is the person who turned in the report. In an ancient army, a particularly brave deed was recognized by an award of the title of Kakan. It was not a rank. The person remained what he was, but he was entitled to be forgiven the death penalty 10 times in case in the future he did anything wrong. That was a Kakan. That's what producing high statistic staff members are, Kakans. They can get away with murder without a blink from ethics, and ethics must recognize a Kakan when it sees one, and tear up the bad report, chits, on the person with a yawn. Isn't that great, you guys? We've heard other ex-Scientologists talk about that as well. This policy not only pertains to staff with high statistics, but public Scientologists as well, as long as they are big producers, bringing in lots of money. Oh, who was the gentleman? I think his name was Chris Mallon, who was talking to, the ex-Scientologist who passed away. Real slim, smoked a lot, nice guy. I can't think of his name right now. This policy not only pertains to staff with high statistics, but public Scientologists as well, as long as they are big producers. Anyways, Chris Mallon was talking to him about the pedo ring, that the one admitting to the pedophilia was running a pedo ring, and he was a high producer. Hubbard also said that he did not care what his staff members did. As long as they were upstats. This includes children, you guys. Help make money for Scientology, and implies that staff can get away with murder in a blink of the eye, and not to bother him with details. How many weird deaths have we seen so far? Very strange events. First is the story of the late Alexander Jensch, the son of Scientology president Heber Jensch. from the Scientology cult website. In Scientology Incorporated, the reputation of David Miscavige comes before all else. Yeah, Rinder was his right-hand man how many years? Which was also seen in the tragic loss of Lisa McPherson, who, while she lay dying, was driven to a hospital 45 minutes away, no doubt to put some distance between her and the Flag land base, where she had been neglected. Oh, I'd say it was way more that happened to her. While Morton Plant Hospital was only blocks away in the other direction. But of course, putting PR first, yeah, Rinder would know, is just another way of saying cover-up. And on that theme, Alexander had already fallen into a well-worn groove. Behold, Alexander Jench was the victim of a child pedophile, inside the Church of Scientology when he was 12 years old. When he was 12 years old. Where were his parents? Playing Scientology while your child is being essayed? I just can't anymore. The incident was covered up by the Church of Scientology executives. Prestigious executives. Wake up, people. Wake up. And neither the boy's father nor mother were ever told about it by the church. Yet, you see that? So now there's no culpability? Please. It's because parents are supposed to be in touch with their children. I am so tired of reading these stories sometimes. Yet you can bet David Miscavige, you guys know where this is going again. Everything's David Miscavige's fault, right? Doesn't look like David Miscavige was the one abusing the child, was it? Miscavige knew all about it. Yeah, there's the scapegoat again. He receives info on all potential legal liabilities. How like Rinder did? Karen only found out, listen to this. Karen only found out on July 2010 when multiple former executives from the area where Alexander was working contacted Karen and told her what had happened to her son. Why wasn't she in touch with her own son? I'm already getting irritated right now. Here's what they said. Witness number 1. I was a member of the Sea Organization from August 1989 till August 2007. It was when I worked in the Office of Special Affairs Flag. Office of Special Affairs Flag land base. That I learned about the R of Alexander Jench, then a 12 or 13-year-old son of Karen de la Care and Heber Jench. I started working in OSA. Listen to this, you guys. They got to slip out of responsibility. In January 1997. Isn't that the year that Rinder left? I forget what year he left. And it was during that year when I learned about the R through my then coworker, Annie Mora, who had been assigned to keep an eye, handler, on Alexander from the point of time he was received at the Flag land base. Handler. But everybody's worried about the senior abuse or the elder abuse. The R incident involved a female field service officer, Department 5, staff Marie Warren. Listen to how they word this, you guys. I'm going to try to keep my mouth clean. Marie Warren seducing Alex. Since when do you seduce a 12-year-old? Try to do that in front of me, you guys. Try it. Try it. With her in one of the crew birthing apartments. See why children in adults' bodies don't work? It doesn't work. That was an R, R-A-P-E. Once this incident, you know the R, became known by Annie Mora, she was executing the immediate handling, what'd I say? Which included making sure the knowledge of the R isn't spreading, not only inside the church cult, but to the outside. Matt Pesh come to mind? It would have been devastating to the image of the church. Forget the child, right? To have this crime become general knowledge, too late. And that young man, when he got older, he passed away from some type of pneumonia or flu. Treatable. Another action was to transfer, they always do this, Alexander and Marie out of Florida, you know, the pedophile Marie, to California to help cover it up from the authorities. When have the authorities ever done anything about the children being AR'd in Scientology? Inquiring MF minds want to know. I don't even like reading. You see how they twist things? Needless to say, Alexander's RAPE was a huge flap and would be the kind of incident OSA staff would automatically deal with, hence my knowledge of it. A Scientologist by the name of Donald Anthony Strawn, also known as Tony Strawn, was convicted LAPD, in 1995 to 30 years in prison for sexually molesting 2 girls, ages 11 and 13. The children were in his custodial care. That means he was a guardian, you guys. See what happens when you sign your children over to strangers? Scientology directed under threat of expulsion that the mother not report the incident to the proper authorities because the church could handle his aberration. Hopefully the other prisoners handled his aberration when he got locked up. That's what I hope. Astor Woodcraft is another child that was essayed. Astor Woodcraft from ex-Scientology Kids said, I was 13 years old. I think I was 13. Everyone had beer and got drunk. Isn't that great, you guys? It's another Wally Hank story. Because, you know, children in adult bodies, where the parents walk around with their you-know-whats in their hands, acting like they don't know how to be parents. I think the first night or the second night I was up there, I was sitting next to him. And I had had a few beers, because, you know, 13-year-olds should always be drinking, right? This is grooming. And so had he. And so had everyone else. And he put his hand down my shirt and down my bra and started feeling me. And it really scared me. And I asked my friend later, I said, what's Wally Hanks doing? Why did he do this? And she said, Oh, don't worry. He just does that with the girls. You see, the kids have to fend for themselves. That's just what he does, but don't worry about it. I guess LAPD is not worried about things like that either, that are still happening in real time right now, as we speak. And along this line, Adeline Dodbova said, these were the children of dedicated Scientologists. Blech, blech, blech. Students files, LAPD. Revealed previous teacher statements of incidents of physical and sexual abuse. All of these cases were reported to the principal. The reports were handled by Scientology alone. Teachers dared not report these crimes on their own outside the school for fear of losing their jobs. Guess that'd be the day I'd have to lose my job. Don't you guys agree? Yolanda Hall wrote, and she had escaped out, I remember that. One little baby I knew in the Sea Org got herpes during a cadet org epidemic. I bet Rinder knew about that one. Rathburn, I'm sure he knew too. A 14-year-old girl disclosed to me how she and a few other little girls were leaving the cadet org in the daytime and performing S services for one of the girls' uncles. Ain't nothing a sharp knife won't take care of, would it? A man who worked in the cadet org. I wish I knew what year this was. Admitted he was sexually molesting the children. Maybe a security guard? Although these incidents were written up, as far as I know, they were never handled. And finally, LAPD, the statement of Tommy Gorman. It was around 2001, beginning in May, when I decided to go see my friend Jennifer Stewart, because she was still on staff at the Mountain View org. My mother asked Tommy, have you talked to your friend Jennifer lately? I said, no. I thought about it and thought, hey, I should call her. I called her home and her mother picked up the telephone and I asked if Jennifer was there. She said no. She is at Gabriel Williams' home. We know where this went. Jennifer's mother told me she would call Jennifer and tell her to call me. Later that day, I got a call from Jennifer. I was happy to be on the phone with my bud. I said, hey, can you come over tomorrow? And she said, I have to ask Gabriel, handler and predator, who was also her boss at Mountain View org. She was just handed over. Her parents didn't know, though. Her parents did do the right thing in the end. I said, no, you need to ask your mom and dad, not Gabriel. Jennifer said, no, I have to ask Gabriel. So I said, fine, ask him now. I heard Gabriel say, So I started to talk very loud and said, let Jennifer come over, Gabriel. Then Jennifer said, wow, Gabriel said, I can come over. That's what cover-up looks like, you guys. The next day I packed I picked up Jennifer at BART, Bay Area Rapid Transit, at 4 p.m. Jennifer looked a lot heavier and not the same happy girl I knew. She was wearing a turtleneck. Pretty sure I shared this already. The day was kind of warm and I was confused because Jennifer had told me many times before she does not wear turtlenecks because she hates them. I gave Jennifer a hug and she jumped back. That's PTSD. And I felt confused. We then talked for hours in my car. I was joking with her about something and tapped her leg, and she again recoiled from a touch. At one point, I started to talk about Gabriel a lot, and then Jennifer threw up. I continued to discuss Gabriel because I knew something was very wrong. You know, the predators, they can never match like another strong alpha male. They have to pick on women. Whenever Gabriel's name came up, she would say everything was fine, everything was great, over and over again. I thought this was very weird. It was as if she were in a trance. I finally started yelling at her to tell me what was going on, and I asked her if anyone had hurt her. Then she started to cry very hard for a very long time and kept talking, but I could not understand what she was saying. I asked her what happened, but she said that she could not tell me. I asked if she was wearing her turtleneck because she was trying to hide something. I finally got her to let me look under the neck area of the turtleneck. Jennifer had some mark on her neck. When I looked at it closely later on, I saw that she had a right-hand mark on her neck. When I was looking at her on my left side, she had a thumbprint on her neck on my right side and a couple of finger marks. I asked Jennifer if I could see her arm. It's too bad they didn't take a picture right then. And then saw a mark on her arm. She told me she also had a mark on her leg. Jennifer said, "No one will believe me and Gabriel will kill me and my whole family." See, that's the threats that these freaking predators make. Come and try it, is what I say. I spent the rest of that night trying to comfort Jennifer. I asked whether Gabriel did this. She said yes. She finally admitted that Gabriel had arred her. It was clear to me that Gabriel had threatened Jennifer's life and had arred her and choked her. Gabriel was a Scientology staff member at the Oregon Mountain View, and because of high production, you know, he's a kakan. They can R women, they can R children, as long as they're a kakan. I mean, Hubbard's just such a moron anyways. As reflected by his statistics, meant that he made Scientology a lot of money. A lot of money, LAPD. How about that? Because, you know, children and adults need to produce, right? Because of this, he was considered by Scientology policy, written by L. Ron Hubbard, to be above the law. Above the law, LAPD. This policy is called the Kakan policy. I knew the policy and I knew that it would be a problem to report this to Scientology because they would protect him because of his work to Scientology, and that is exactly what they did because they love to protect pedos. L. Ron Hubbard's policy states that SPs, enemies of Scientology, always spread false and alarming rumors about upstats. Was Neil Gaiman an upstat too? Danny Masterson an upstat as well? He looks like such a loser. I never did like Danny Masterson in the 70s show. Never liked him. High-income producers. Hubbard directs staff to investigate any individual who reports or tells on an upstat. See that? Hubbard, who was the least productive person on earth. Look at his teeth. He couldn't even brush his teeth. Listen up, LAPD. I mean, you might want to listen. Although I know you guys are kind of good at covering up stuff over there, too. So I guess birds of an MF feather. There's no room in our society for a church to have a policy that it's okay for you to do anything you want to people, especially women and children, as long as your stats are up and it doesn't get around. Huh. You guys, doesn't that sound like LAPD? If you've been listening to or watching Street's most recent videos. Scientology still practices this. Please see the below video. Oh yeah, all about Jan Eastgate. Okay, you guys, so that is it. I will leave the link in the description box. Like and subscribe if you choose. Otherwise, have an amazing day or night wherever you are. Peace.